Hi, welcome to my video on domain and range of a parabola. The domain and range of a parabola. The domain of a parabola. The values of x that define an equation or in a graph are the domain are the values of x that's in an equation or in a graph. If you look back at my Algebra 1, I have a whole unit done on functions. And in that unit, I talk about domain of a linear. So now I'm going to talk about the domain and range of a parabola. The basic equation for a parabola is y equals x squared. The table of values is 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2. And when you put 2 in, you get a 4. Put 1 in, you get a 1. Put 0 in, you get a 0. Negative 1 squared is 1. Negative 2 in here squared is 4. And as a result, we have the vertex is 0, 0. 1 gives me a 1. X is 1, y is 1. X is 2, y is 4. X is negative 1, y is 1. X is negative 2, y is 4. So this is the basic equation of a parabola. Here we are, we've seen this over and over and over. So what happens in this case, the domain are the values of x that's in this parabola. So the values of x that's represented in this table are only some of them. The arrow indicates that it goes on. So as I go out to the right, this keeps going up and up and up. As I go to the left, this keeps going up and up and up. So the domain, all the x values are in this graph. So the 0, the 1 is right here, the 2 is there, the 3 is there, the 4, the 3 is up, 3 is a 9, which is way up there, the 4 is way up there, and so on as we go, or we go this side. You can see the values, as you go left and right, the values of x are in this graph. That means the domain is the set of x is belonging to the real numbers. So when you say belongs to the real numbers, that means all x's are in the graph. All x's, all the values of x are in the graph. There's no restriction. No matter what x I put in, you got to square it and you'll get the value of y. So the domain of this parabola is x belongs to E, call it E, are real numbers. All real numbers are the domain of a parabola. Every parabola of the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, standard form. All parabolas that's written as y equals x minus h all squared plus k. All parabolas as written as x minus s and x minus t. So this is standard form, this is vertex form, this is the intercept form. All parabolas that's written in any one of these forms, if you can, will have a domain of x belonging to the real numbers. The domain of any parabola that's written as in any one of these forms, no matter how you do it, the domain is always the domain of any parabola in this written in any one of these forms or variations is always x belongs to the real numbers. So I have a parabola here that you can see got a peak point. Notice the vertex of this parabola. Let's pick out the vertex. The vertex is the peak point. Is the point where the parabola changes from. Notice the slope on this line, on this curve here is positive, goes up to the right. Notice the slope on this side is up to the left or down to the right. So this is the vertex. The vertex is 2, 3. And because it's a parabola, then the domain is x belongs to R. Why? Because all the values of x are represented in the graph. The more further you go to the right, the further this goes down. The further I go to the left, the further this goes down. And we have another parabola here. Notice we have a U shape. The slope on this side is positive. The slope on this side is negative. Again, on this side is a positive slope because it's going up to the right. This side is going up to the left, so it's a negative slope. So as a result, the vertex of this parabola is -2, -1, right? But it's a parabola, so therefore the domain is X-ER. Why? Because all the x's are represented when we draw this. So watch, as I draw it up and out like that. What does it mean? As I go out to the right, the y values increase. As I go out to the left, the y values increase, so you got a U shape. And again, y equals bracket x minus 2 all squared plus 1 is the vertex form of a parabola. The vertex of this parabola is opposite of this one, which is 2, and gives me a 1. So the domain of this parabola is X-ER. Domain is real numbers. Again, this is the parabola. The vertex. Notice that x squared plus 0x minus 4. The x is missing, so the vertex is 0, -4. And what's the domain of this parabola? X-ER. Domain of any parabola is X-ER. X belongs to the reals. Always, always, always. Okay, let's look at what we call the range of a parabola. If the x values belong to the domain, then the range is the y values. So watch in the unit that I did on linear functions, what I did, I said we got an x and a y, and we got a d and an r. Domain, range, x. So alphabetically, x is before y, and alphabetically, d is before r. So I never forgot that the domain is the x values, the range is the y values, based on the order in the alphabet. It's just a little way that my brain memorized it. And it stood fast for eons of years, even to this day. Domain is x, range is y alphabetically. Think of it that way. So the values of y that are in a graph or are defined by an equation, the range is the y values, the values of y. So we have a y equals x squared, a parabola. So what we have is plug 2 in, I get a 4. Plug 1 in, I get a 1. 0 in, I get a 0. -1 in, I get a 1. -2 squared, -2 times -2 is 4. Again, we have 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4. -1, 1, -2, 4. I've done this so often, you should know now what the basic, this is the equation of the what they call the parent equation, or I call it the basic equation of a parabola. The basic equation, y equals x squared, is the basic or parent equation. So in this parabola, we know the domain is always reals, but the range changes depending on what the value of y is and how it's going. Let's explain. The range is, in this one, what y values are in this graph? Well, the y values start off at 0, and the y values, notice, are going at 0, and then a 1, and then a 2. You got a 1 and 2 and a 3 and a 4. So the y values are there. As you go sideways, you can see the y values. So the y values are never down below. They're never a negative, not -0.5 or -1 or -2. So the y values are greater than or equal to. They start off at 0 because 0 is a part of the graph. So the range of this basic equation is y is greater than or equal to 0. And you could say where y belongs to the reals. We say y belongs to the reals because of the shading. But the range is all values of y greater than or equal to 0. Okay. Now, what about this parabola? We have a vertex. The vertex of this parabola, the vertex is 1, -2. So the values of y in this graph starts at 2. So the y starts at 2 and is equal to 2 and greater. The values of y in this graph starts at 2 and goes up. Up is greater. Notice there's no values of y below 2. It's like it's not 1.5, it's not 1, it's not 0, it's not a -1, -2, etc. There's no values of y below 2. And in this one, the vertex is 2, 1. And the parabola is going down. So the values of y are starting at 1. The values of y are 1 and they're going down. You got a 0, you got -1, you got -2. -1 is right here. -2 is right here. And they go down and they go down. So the values of y are -1, -2 is there, -2.5, half, -0.5 is right there, -1 is there, -4 is right there. As you go sideways, there's a -4, etc., etc. So the values of y are going down, and down is less than, is equal to 1 and less than. It's below the 1. Let's do another one. What's the range in this one? Well, the vertex is -2, -2. X is -2, y is -2. And what's the range? The y value is -2 starting off, and it goes up. Up is greater than, and is equal to, because the vertex is a part of starts off the parabola. And we have another one. The vertex of this parabola is x is -2, y is 4. X is -2, y is 4. And the y value in the vertex is 4. So the y value starts at 4, and the parabola is going down. So down is less than, equal to. Down is less than, up is greater than. And the vertex is a part of the parabola, so you got to have an equal sign. And we have a vertex here. The vertex of this parabola is x is 2, y is 0. So the y values are starting off at 0. So, and they go up. So it's greater than, equal to. And we have another one. The vertex of this one, x is -3, y is 0. X is -3, y is 0. So the range starts at 0. Remember, the range is the y values. X, Y, D, R. Range Y, domain X. And the y values start at 0 and they're going down, so it's less than, equal to. Less than because all the y values are below the 0 and equal to 0. 0 is right there. -1 is right there. -2 is here. -9 is right there. I just name a few of them. So you notice it's the y value of the vertex. So the range, really, the range is y is, let's see, do I have it on the next page? Yes, I explained on the next page. Here we go. The range of a parabola. The range is the y values. So we got this equation, which is vertex form. We have this equation is standard form, and this equation is the X-Intercept form. And the vertex of any one of these equations, the vertex is h comma k. So what happens if a, which is this number, if a is greater than 0, that means a is positive. The parabola, if a is positive, the parabola is going to open up. Up is like this. Parabola opens up. That means the range is going to be greater than or equal to the k value of the vertex. So what happens here? We have a vertex in this parabola. The vertex is opposite of the -1, which is 1, comma 6. Because a is equal to 2, and because a is positive 2, that means the parabola opens up. So the range is y is greater than or equal to 6. That's the range. And in this parabola, we have a vertex. Again, this parabola can be written as y equals x squared plus 0x minus 2. So the vertex is 0, negative 2. And because, notice there's A is equal to 1, and that's positive. A is positive, so the parabola opens up again. So the range of this parabola is y is greater than or equal to negative 2. It starts at negative 2. The y value starts at negative 2, and because it's positive, opens up, so it's greater than or equal to negative 2. And also, what about if the a is less than 0? That means the a is negative. If the a in the equation is negative, the parabola opens down. That means the parabola opens down. It's upside down. It's opening down. It's going down. The range is y is less than or equal to k. So it's the y value of the vertex that you pick and is less than or equal to if a is negative. And again, a in this equation is negative 3. That means that the parabola opens downward. The parabola opens down. Pen ran out. Hopefully this one's working. Okay, here we go. That means that the range is y, and I just get the vertex. The vertex is negative 4. We change to plus 4. Opposite of plus 4 is minus 4 and 1. So the k value is 1. So y, in terms of 1, is opening down is going to be less than equal to 1. And in this equation, again, we got y equals negative 4x squared plus 0x minus 4. We have a vertex of x is 0. We put 0 in for x, we get y to be negative 4. Notice that a is negative 4. A is this number right here. A is negative 4. And again, the parabola is opening down. And hence, y, the vertex is negative 4, has negative 4 for the y, and it's less than equal to. Hopefully, you can see as a is positive, it opens up, so the range is greater than or equal to the y value of the vertex. And if it opens down, then the range is less than or equal to the y value of the vertex. Well, let's practice some now. The range of a parabola, very important. Find the range of each parabola. Well, the vertex is 1, opposite of negative 1, 3. A is 1, and that's positive. Therefore, it opens up. So the range is greater than or equal to 3. Again, the vertex of this parabola here is negative 2, 4. Again, the opposite of this bracket, negative 2 with a 4. And a is negative 1. That means because it's negative, it opens down. So the range is less than or equal to the y value of the vertex. It opens down from the 4. And we have another one. Again, notice the x is missing, so I'd like to just put that in. So the x is missing. In other words, if you did like this, a negative b over 2a, b is 0. So you get a negative of 0, 0 over 2 times negative 1. That will give you 0 over negative 2, which is 0. So the vertex is x coordinate of 0. And when you got a 0, then y is negative 2. And this a is negative 1. So it opens down. So the range is y is less than or equal to negative 2. D. A is 4. That means the parabola opens up. That means it's going to be greater than or equal to. But we got to get what the vertex is. So we got to use x equals negative b over 2a. And that's A is 4, B is 24, C is 32. So that gives us a negative of the 24 all over 2 times 4. Negative 24 over 8, negative 3. That's the x-coordinate of the vertex, but we need the y. So now we have the sub, the negative 3 in. So I'm subbing the negative 3 in, and make sure I got enough space here, because sometimes I write this and I don't leave myself enough space on that side. So that gives me negative 3 squared is 9, 4 nines is 36. 24 times negative 3 is a negative 72, plus 32. So that's negative 36 and 32 is a negative 4. So the vertex is negative 3, negative 4. So what's the range? It's going up. So y is greater than or equal to negative 4 is the range. And we have another one. And again, we don't have a vertex. We have to go and find it. A is negative 2, B is negative 8, C is negative 1. So x equals negative b over 2a. B is negative 8, so it's the negative of a negative 8 over 2 times negative 2. That's 8 over negative 4, which is negative 2. So to get what the y value of the vertex is, we're going to sub negative 2 in the place of x. So I square first. That's a 4. So negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 2 is plus 16, minus 1. 8 minus 1 is 7. So the vertex is negative 2, 7. And A is negative 2. A is negative. That means the parabola opens down. So y is less than or equal to the y value of the vertex, which is 7. That's the range. And notice I got variations here. You can't make everything in vertex form all the time, so we got to do some work. We got to know what we're doing. And what about this one? Well, if we look at it, we got the x-intercepts. So if we look at the graph, just watch, it just takes, I'm going to do it quickly. We got a graph. The x-intercepts are the opposite of that, which is 2. The x-intercept here is negative 2. So that means that the x-coordinate of the vertex is in between these two x-intercepts. So the x-coordinate of the vertex is a 0, because 0 is in the middle. If you add these up, if you add negative 2 plus 2 and divide it by 2, you get 0 over 2, which is 0. Or if we look at the graph, 0 is in the middle. So 0 is the x-coordinate of the vertex. So if you take the equation and you plug 0 in for x, and you take your time, you get negative 4 times a negative number, so it's a 4. So the vertex is 0, 4. Because it's negative is opening down, A is negative 1. So that means the parabola is opening down, so the range is y is less than or equal to the y value of the vertex, which is 4. Again, different variations. We practiced all this before, so I'm practicing it again. Practice over and over until I know what I'm doing. And G, we got y equals 3x squared minus 3x, and we want to get the vertex. So again, we can do x equals negative b over 2a in this case. So a is 3, b is negative 6. So we got the negative of a negative 6 over 2 times 3. So that's 6 over 6, which is 1. And we plug 1 in the place of x. When we plug 1 in, we get the value of y. This is the x-coordinate of vertex. So 1 squared is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Minus 6 is negative 3. So the vertex is 1, negative 3. A is 3. A is 3 positive, so the parabola opens up. So the vertex is y is greater than or equal to the y value of the vertex, which is negative 3. And we keep practice. Practice makes perfect. And again, we have the same one here. The x-intercepts, if we look at the graph, the x-intercepts are -1 and a +3. And we want to get the range. So what's in the middle? Again, -1 plus 3 divided by 2 is 2 over 2. 1 is in the middle. So the vertex, the x is 1. The x is 1. Plug 1 into the equation. 1, 1. And take your time and work it out. You get a 2, -2. That gives us a 4. So the vertex is 1, 4. And the parabola opens. A is -1. Parabola opens down. So the range is y is less than or equal to 4. Again, just a coincidence the two of these are the same. And we have a table of values. So in the table of values, you notice that the y values are the same here. 2, and there's 1 unit to the right and 1 unit to the left. And if we graph it, just to see, we got a 3, -1. We got a 4, which is here, -3, so let's pretend is there. And we got a 2, -3. So you can see that there's your parabola doing this. But because these two values are the same on each side of the -1, the vertex is 3, -1. Or if you graph it, you can see that this is the vertex. These points are on this side, peak point. So, and it's opening down. So it's opening down, which means that A, it's because it's opening down, A is going to be negative, but the range is y is less than or equal to the y value of the vertex, which is -1. So a lot of work trying to explain the range, but not only am I doing the range, I'm also doing more math. I'm working on the different forms of the equation, working on -b over 2a to get the x-coordinate in standard form. And I have another page. More work, the more practice, the better. Now pause your video and see if you can work each of these out before I do them. That way you'll fully understand what you're doing. But if you can't, go back over it and look at it again. Look over the math back in the other units that we did on the quadratic. Very important. Here we go. Find the range of each. We have a vertex of opposite, -3, and we keep this one the same. A is -1 right there. That means A is negative, is opening down. So the range is y, opening down is less than or equal to the y value at the vertex, whatever k is, -1. The vertex is opposite of -6 is 6, 2. Again, what number do you put in the place of x to give you 0? 6. 6 is the x-coordinate vertex. When you put 6 in, this becomes 0, you get a 2. That's your vertex. A is 1. That means the parabola is opening up. So that means y is greater than or equal to the y value of your vertex, which is your k. Y is greater or equal to 2. And we have the, let's see, we got standard form, we got a 0. So A is -4, B is 8, and C is 0. So x equals -b over 2a. B is 8, so it's the negative of 8 all over 2 times -4. And that's -8 over -8. So x is 1. The x-coordinate of the vertex is 1. Let's go and get what the y is. X is 1. Sub the 1 in. Sub the 1 in. And we get 1 squared. We got to do PEMDAS first. We got to square first, which is 1. -4 times 1 is -4 plus 8. We get a 4. So the vertex is 1, 4. A is -4. So the parabola is opening down. Because it's negative, it opens down. So the range is y is less than or equal to the y value of the vertex, which is 4. And we have an X-intercept form. So the X-intercepts, opposite of this, the X-intercepts are, let's see, opposite of a -3 is a +3, right there. Opposite of -1 is a +1. So there's the X-intercepts. So if you look at in the middle, between 3 plus 1 divided by 2 is 4 divided by 2 is 2. If you look at the graph, then in the middle, the vertex is in the middle because that's your axis of symmetry. So your vertex is going to have an x-coordinate of 2. So we plug the 2 back into the equation for x. So I put 2 in the place of x, 2 in the place of x, and work it out. -1, 1. I get a -1. So the vertex is 2, -1. A is this number here. So A is 1. So because A is positive, the parabola opens up. So the vertex is y opens up is greater than or equal to the y value of the vertex. So the vertex is 2, -1. So your vertex is right there. And it opens up. So you can see. And number 5, we have standard form. We want to find the vertex. So A is 1. A is 1. B is -4. C is -5. Again, x equals -b over 2a. B is -4, so it's the negative of a -4 over 2 times 1. A is 1. 4 over 2. So the x-coordinate of your vertex is 2. Let's get the y value. So y equals, so I have x is 2, so I put 2 in the place of x. I put 2 in the place of x. So -2 squared is 4. -4 times 2 is -8. And -4 and -5 is -9. So the vertex is 2, -9. And A is 1. A is equal to 1. Because it's positive, the parabola opens up. So the range is y is greater than or equal to the y value of your vertex. It's the same all the time. It's just that you got to practice, practice, practice. And again, this equation, y equals -x squared plus 0x plus 9. That means that if you, because that's a 0, that means the x-coordinate of your vertex is automatically 0. Because if you do -b over 2a, b is 0, so 0 divided by any number other than 0 gives you 0. Put a 0 back in. You put 0 back in the equation. There we go. Right here, this is the equation. We get y equals 0 plus 9. Y is 9, so the vertex is 0, 9. Again, when the x-coordinate is missing, you got a 0. The x-coordinate of your vertex is 0. Put a 0 back in the equation, you get a 9. So A is -1. A is -1, the parabola opens down. So the range is y is less than or equal to the y value of the vertex, 9. And another one, again, we got x-intercepts. X-intercepts are -6 and 2. So look at your graph. You got a -6, which is right here, and you have a 2, which is here. Halfway between -6 and 2, add them up, divide by 2. -4 over 2 is -2. If you look at the graph of -6, which is the opposite, you look at 2, which is the opposite, there's 8 units between here. So if you go 4 units left and 4 units right, if you go 4 units this way, you get the -2. You go 4 units this way, you get -2 is in the middle. So the x-coordinate of your vertex is -2. So plug that into your equation, -2. -2 for x. So we get 4, -4. That's a 16 times 2 is 32, negative and negative positive. So your vertex is -2, 32. A is -2. There it is, there's A. Negative means it opens down. So your range is y is less than or equal to the y value of your vertex, which is 32. And we have a vertex, but we don't know if it's up or down. Well, let's just draw a little tiny graph quickly. Watch. The vertex is 1, negative 1. Let's pretend that's 1 and negative 1 right there. The point 2, negative 2, 3. The point is negative 2, which is here, and 3. So this point, negative 2, 3 is right here. So if this is the vertex and it's going to pass through this point, that means the parabola must be doing this. That means the parabola is opening up. That means if it's opening up, the range is y is greater than or equal to the y value of the vertex. Oops. Sorry. Y value of the vertex. I'm looking at this number. Y value of the vertex is y is greater than or equal to negative 1. Notice it goes up from the negative 1. Y is negative 1. Is your range. And again, we have a vertex. Let's draw this. The vertex is negative 2, 0. X is negative 2, y is 0. The vertex is right here. It got a y-intercept of negative 3. There's the y-axis. That's the x-axis. The y-intercept of negative 3 is, pretend, is right there. So if this is your vertex at negative 2, 0, and if this is your y-intercept, the parabola got to go down through that y-intercept like that. So here's your parabola. So the parabola is opening down. So therefore your range is y is less than or equal to the y value of your vertex. Y is less than or equal to 0. So looking at your graph, again, just another way that I wrote it down. Always helping you thinking. And again, we got a table of values. So if you draw your graph, or if you look at what? 4, the y values are the same on each side. So this is your vertex. Let's see. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 3. Let's pretend 3, 4 is right there. 2, 1. 2, 1 is right there. And 1, 4. X is 1, 4. So notice it's the same on these two. So these two values, because these two values are both 1 unit to the right and 1 unit to the left, because these two y values are the same, this has to be your vertex. And so the parabola opens up. So the range is y is greater than or equal to 1, the y value of your vertex. So that brings us to explaining what the range of a parabola is and explaining what the domain of a parabola is. The domain is always the real numbers, but the range can change depending if it's going up or down. And if it's going up, it's going to be greater than or equal to the y value of your vertex. If it's going down, it's going to be less than or equal to the y value of your vertex. And if you like my video, click the like button, the subscribe button, and notification bell. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video.